What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, we do have a hell of a lot of Fed speakers throughout the week. So that in among itself could cause some volatility. Tuesday, you also do have the money supply coming out at noon. Normally, that's not really something I would even bring up, but given the circumstances that has been occurring in the broader market, I feel like a lot of entities are going to be watching that very closely. So again, see if Powell somehow has turned on the printer and so forth, but that's going to be coming out on Tuesday. Aside from that, we have on Friday the Michigan consumer sentiment, and current forecast for that is 50.8. That in among itself though has really prompted a sell-off for the last 5 reports for the most part. So again, that's going to be a big deal for the market and a very big indicator on potentially future inflation. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Aside from the data points, it is going to be tariffs. And we kind of ended last week off with a certain level of optimism that China and the States were going to come to some sort of resolution. And so again, if that does happen, broader market is really going to move higher. Over the weekend, you've seen a lot of, I feel like, FUD for the most part, saying that Trump kind of mentioning that he's been reaching out to China and whatever else has been false. None of that has happened. China is still not really talking. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I think that will be a very big deal for the broader market. So again, tariffs is probably going to be another hot topic, unfortunately. But specific to SoFi though, there isn't any fireside chats or anything, but we are nearing their earnings, and their earnings is the 29th before the market opens. Current estimates 3 cents for the earnings per share, 739.78 million for the revenue. Over the last 90 days, you have 1 positive and 8 negative revisions to the earnings per share. In the next couple days, I will do a little bit more of a deeper dive on these numbers to see if it's feasible and my general thoughts on that and some estimates. But right now, you do have 14.28% the implied move, so roughly $1.50 in either direction. That's what options is kind of pointing to for their for the earnings. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Typically though, 1 week before their earnings, you always have some level of FOMO. So for whatever reason, SoFi seems to outperform in the broader market, really moving higher, and then as a byproduct of their earnings, regardless of the results, it goes down. And you can actually see that very clearly right here. So the 2 weeks, 1 week, 3 days, and 1 day prior to the earnings, and then so forth afterwards. Usually it's green and then red afterwards. So for whatever reason, that's what happens. So again, that could be really starting this week as well. So a certain level of FOMO. At the same time, it doesn't really make that much sense, but 1 week before their earnings, you usually have some analyst ratings. Again, I always complain about this because it doesn't make sense, but a lot of the bearish analysts feel it is necessary to re-rate 1 week before their earnings. So again, you could have that really impacting the stock price this week as well. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Going into this upcoming week though, 12.92% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 139.22 million shares overall are being shorted. So shorts have been slowly increasing. Haven't really been doing all that much though. Normally they are probably, I would assume they're just waiting for some tariff updates, whether there's going to be some kind of doubling down on from the States or if there's going to be some easing. So we'll just have to wait and see. But then again, also with their earnings, that usually does prompt at least a pullback most of the time. So shorts take advantage of the sell-off and actually do return. Shows that there's a certain level of manipulation. But going into this week though, 12.92% is that free float. And one thing that I do want to bring up though, I kind of brought it up on my Thursday video, I believe. And so on Thursday, there was 2.6 million in premiums between 105 and 110. And it goes to show that big money was really doubling down on SoFi. So someone was willing to stake $1.27 million in premiums that SoFi was going to be above the $13 range. Well, most likely they're assuming 14 or 15. because they did do a $13 call, and that did expire May the 16th, 2025, and they paid roughly around 38 cents for a premium. So it is fair to assume that there's obviously their break even is 13.38, so they would assume maybe 14.15 possibly, but nonetheless, it's good to see some level of optimism post earnings, so we'll wait and see. But with it closing on Friday at $10.98, that does mean that the $11 strike price and above all expires worthless. That's the downside of doing options, unfortunately. So you have 9,000 at that 10 and then 5,000 at that 10.50. Looking forward into this upcoming week, no crazy walls as of right now, so it is probably no sign of manipulation for that or anything. So let me know your viewpoint. As far as it right now at $10.98, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 10.91 is going to be a strong support. Just watch for that going forward. And then 12.46 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So far during the overnight, it is pulling down slightly. So it is at $11 because it did go up after hours on Thursday to roughly 11.08, something like that. So just kind of we'll watch for to see what happens, but it's a very wide gap and very low volume during the overnight, so take that into consideration. But some key levels to really watch for is that 200-day moving average at 11.50. If it is for whatever reason able to get above that going into the earnings, it should really give it some extra legs to really move higher. A couple other levels to watch for is that 12.76 as the 50-day moving average. Typically that is a very big deal for SoFi, and then aside from that, the 100-day moving average is sitting at 14.28. So I like to be cautiously optimistic. Like I said, given just SoFi's nature, there is always FOMO into this week, so it is fair to assume that potentially we might be easily going into the earnings between this R1 and this pivot, so 14.01 to 12.46. That isn't factoring in any tariff news. So if, let's say, the states and China come to some sort of resolution, I could easily see it in this R2 to R1 range going into the earnings, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see. It does look as though that SoFi is moving higher though, so bid and ask is at 11.15 and 11.16, so looks like the market wants to take SoFi higher. So let me know your general thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Hopefully everyone had a kick-ass long weekend. Happy Easter to those that celebrate. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which are absolutely on point and bangers, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.